husband, whoever it is. You're going to be preparing a meal and you are going to be dining. And particularly we have the holiday weekend coming up. It's a lockdown weekend, but guess what? You can prepare something sumptuous and you can have your family enjoying a meal as you would go dining out. And as I always say, we need to be as local as we can be. Eat what we grow what we eat. So today we are going to be doing a green banana salad with a warm dressing. And for dessert, we are going to be continuing on the traditional line. We are going to be doing a toto that we will not be baking in an oven. So here we go. So in front of me, I have my ingredients. So for you, all you are going to be following as I go through this process. So here I have my 1.5 cups of flour, which I know you would have. I have my 1/2 tablespoon of baking powder. Here I have my 1/2 teaspoon of cinnamon, 1/2 teaspoon of nutmeg. We have our 1/2 cup of sugar, 3/4 cup grated coconut, 1/2 teaspoon of vanilla and almond. That's what I have. We have 1 egg. We have 3/4 coconut milk. And I have some simple syrup to brush at the end of it all. So here we go. Get a bowl. You need a bowl. You need a sieve. Because we are going to aerating. Apart from aerating to let your product be lighter, we want to see if we have any undesirables in the flour. So here we go. So we are going to be sieving our flour, right, with our baking powder, our cinnamon, our nutmeg. Come on, I'm waiting for you. You put those in. Very good. Okay, so let's go. We are sieving everything into the bowl. Just hit the sieve against the heel of your hand. And there we go, right? Grab your spoon and just stir to incorporate everything. All right. Now, before we go any further, I'm going to be melting my margarine. Now, the ingredients ask for 1/2 cup of melted margarine. Now, 1/2 cup is 2 ounces of margarine. So we are going to be melting. And I will be greasing my tin with a little oil. Margarine will tend to allow your product to burn. So we can use some shortening or some oil to grease your tin. All right. So we grease our tin and we set it aside. All right. Margarine is melting. So while the margarine is there melting, we are going to be adding our sugar. That's 1/2 cup of sugar. We add our coconut. And I should let you know, for interest, you could add a little grated ginger to your coconut. All right, our margarine is melted. And what I'm going to be doing right now, I'm not turning off the flame. I asked you to get a big pot. I'm going to be putting the pot on. And I also asked you to get a small round foil tin. Now, I'm going to be placing this to the bottom of the pot. There's nothing in the pot, it's dry. So you're putting it on the flame. You're going to be resting the foil tin in, and you're going to be aiming for medium heat. So I'll turn this to medium. Then I'm going to cover, right? Everybody get that? So put your pot on. If you don't have the foil tin, if you have a hot pot mat that is metal, you can put it in. We want to lift the baking tin from the base of the pot because your product will burn. So we put something to lift, to elevate it somewhat. All right, everybody is with me? All right, good. I can see that you are working. Very good. So we are going to be whisking our egg. So in the bowl with the egg, I will want you to put your vanilla and your almond extract. All right, let's pour it in. Then I'm going to be giving it a small whisk. And please remember that this year's competition, we're focusing on mangoes, and I would love to see some recipes with mangoes. And if you can only enter recipe writing only, that would be good enough. Because we want to compile recipes from all participants. So we did recipe writing in April. I want you to improve on that, and I want you to work on your recipes. So when you enter, I can see a number of persons giving a variation of items made from mango. So go right ahead and have your recipes ready. Submit your entry, your recipes will submit with your entry form. So if you have difficulties, remember you can call us at the head office or call me, WhatsApp me, or email me for information, and we will walk you through the process. Remember, you can go to the JCDC's website, www.jcdc.gov.jm, and look at the handbook, look at the 5 categories that we are offering this year, and remember it's solo entry. And for this year only, we are looking on 5 categories. We don't know what next year will hold, but let's look at the 5, and you will choose from the different categories what you are going to be doing. All right, so now I know everybody should be where I am. My pot is on the flame, it's heating up nicely. With our eggs, we have our 3/4 cups of coconut milk. Now the reason for me to tell you to get 3/4 to a cup of coconut milk depends on the flour that you are using. Baking flour, use a little more liquid than the counter flour. So I don't know what you are going to be using, but you have that in case we need a little more, because our batter should be of a drop-in consistency. Okay, so here we go. We have our coconut, so we are just going to mix that in. And remember that for the other dish, everybody should have the product ready or the ingredients ready. Some I will walk you through how you prepare, others I told you what to do. So we whisk our eggs lightly, and we are going to be putting a well in the middle of our flour. So we are going to be pouring the egg in. All right. Then we are going to be putting our melted margarine. All right. Then we'll start with a little of the milk. We don't want to use all at once. Cut and fold. All right, so you cut and you fold. So you add a little more. Ensure that you get all the flour particles from the bottom of your container. You pour the rest of it. Now, I should tell you that some persons, when they are doing the total, they would add some molasses, but for now, I just want to use without the molasses. And natural, even though molasses comes from the sugar. If we use molasses, we'd have to do a little less of the sugar because it will be sweet. All right? So we want this drop in consistency. Everybody see this batter? That's what we want. Because if you have too much flour, too much water, sorry, into the mixture, it is going to be like, it's going to be like a pudding consistency, which we don't want. So it's going to allow students will know of the faults in cake making, that if you use too much water in your product, what happens? All right, it becomes dense, and we don't want that. So this is how quickly we have this ready. Are you all with me? You're all with me? Very good. All right, get your tins ready, and we're ready to pour into the tin. Okay, very good. So here we go, and you should use your rubber spatula, your scraper. So we want to scrape everything into the cake tin. So if you were to use the cake and pastry flour, you would have used a 1/4 cup more of the coconut milk. All right. So here we go. We scrape everything out. We don't want to leave our profit in. All right. All right. So here we go. Now our pot is nicely heated. So we are going to be placing the container or baking tin into the pot. And we will leave that and allow that to continue cooking. So we rest it on top, and we allow that to continue. All right. Any questions so far? Are you enjoying the cooking lessons? Okay, very good. Okay, now we're off to the second dish. And I've asked you to prepare some things ahead of time. Our green bananas. And I told you to have them in some either lime juice or vinegar, a little tip of vinegar. I'm just putting the pot on for the banana, because we're going to be boiling the banana. Right. Okay. We asked you to take chicken breast seasoned. I didn't tell you to do anything else but season to chicken breast. We have some steamed callaloo. It's for garnishing of the dish. We have our string beans. I cut some already, and our carrots. Chef Brown did vegetable cuts, so I would not have to go through everything, but there are some that I will just have to show you. All right. So here goes. The water is on for the banana to boil. I'm going to be adding just a little vinegar to the pot. You add a teaspoon of vinegar to your water. Anybody can tell me why I add vinegar, or if you have lime juice, why you would add that to the water? Anybody? All right, and then I'm going to be adding some salt. Anybody can tell me that? Why we add anything acidic, citrus, any citrus fruits? All right. Now, when we do add, we will prevent oxidation. Sometimes you peel your bananas, you notice that the banana get brown. Right. So we add our lime juice. So when we cook our banana, we get this nice white color. We don't want our bananas to brown. All right. So I did ask you to peel your bananas and put them in some water with lime juice or vinegar. So I'm going to be cutting them. Now, you're going to cut them in rounds. It's called a rondelle. You could cut on the diagonal or you could cut them round. Now, remember that your knife should be sharp. We don't want a dull knife because injury, you may cut yourself. But we are going to cut them in rounds. This is called rondelle, all right? You cut them. You strive for even pieces. See those? When you cut them, they will cook the same time. You won't have some cooking before, right? So when you cut, you put right back in your water, all right? You can do 2 at a time, right? Ensure that they are even. You eyeball them. We don't ask you to measure. You just eyeball, and we are cutting and putting back in the water. So we keep that color. We don't want them to be brown. All right, so you take those, you dump them right back in the water. Last one. When a knife is sharp, you just slide right through. All right, so we have all of that ready. So you always keep your area clean, surface clean and dry, before you move on to the next task. All right, so I'd ask you for a stalk of scallion. So we are going to be cutting our scallion. So the ingredients I'd ask you to get is the bananas, the carrots, the string beans, some thyme, the flour and the butter is going, the margarine is going to be used for the sauce. But we are going to be cutting our scallion. We cut them in rounds also. We call them rondelles, all right? You use a knife to just push aside so you can continue working, all right? So you move your fingers as you go, all right? So you move your fingers so you don't cut yourself, all right? All right, so that's our scallion. Then we have onion. We're going to be dicing our onions. This one is small, so I can just cut it just in 2. And we look for the grain of the onion, right? You don't go all the way in. You look for the grain of the onion where you see that line. The line is there. That's the line you're going to cut on, all right? And you leave a little at the stem. And then you're going to be cutting, all right? Those are dices. Okay. All right, so we have even dices. So we have our onion and our scallion. So I'm gonna do the other one. If you're not comfortable using the chef knife, you could have used the paring knife just to cut in. You're not sure, so the paring knife would have cut right along the grain. And then you use your chef knife to cut. So remember that the sharper the knife is, the better it is when you are cutting. All right? So there we have our scallion. We have our onions. Are you there with me? I'm waiting on you to get to where I am. I see that you're working in a kitchen. Yes, you are working. I can see you. All right, even though I'd asked you to get just green and red sweet pepper, but I found a yellow one, so I decided I'm going to be using the yellow also, just to give a nice variation. All right, you clean that out of your pepper. And we're going to be dicing these. We are having everything all ready. All right, waiting for my water to boil, which is almost ready. And then I will put my banana in to boil. All right. So I have my scallion and I have my onion. I'm going to be doing the same for the sweet peppers. Now remember, your eyes eat first. And whatever it is that you are doing, it should look attractive, especially if you have children. They want to see the food looking attractive, all right? So let me just dice this yellow. All right, there we go. This is our yellow pepper. All right, my water is ready. So I will just pour the bananas in and allow them to cook. So here we go. We get back to finishing the peppers. Now I want persons to remember that before we finish here, as was stated on the flyer, that you will be given a certificate of participation. So I want you at the opportune time to give us your email address, your full name, and I want you to let us know the parish that you are working from. And also, the persons in the diaspora is also zooming on and preparing with me. Send me the country where you're from, so, and your email address, your name, full name, email address, your telephone number, so we can get in touch with you, and then we will send you that certificate. Everybody understand? And then before we finish, you will all be filling out the evaluation form, answering those questions. Everybody with me? Understood? All right. So here we go. We continue as we await our bananas to cook, and we have our dessert going. So we are going to continue dicing, preparing our vegetables. So there I have my red sweet peppers. I'll just put them to show you. And if you don't have the yellow, you can just go for the green and the red. We have a lot of red sweet pepper, local red sweet peppers now. So you don't have to think that, oh, I have to get them from overseas, the expensive ones. You go to the market, you see the red. I like colors. So when I go to the market, I look for red sweet pepper. I look for green, and if I can find a yellow, I get the yellow also. All right, here we go. All right, are you there with me? Finish cutting? It will take much practice for you to get the cuts, but you can cut. You don't get them correct just now. You just cut, you try again, because at the end of this session, I want you to take a picture of the finished product. After we've plated, you're going to take a picture and you email me right away, because I will see the name of the persons that sent, and then I'll start working on the certificate for you. So you have to send me that picture at the end of the presentation so I can ensure that you have been in the space working with me on this day, preparing a 2-course meal that you'll be serving to your family. Okay? All right. So I asked you for half a cup of steamed callaloo, but I remember Chef Brown showed you how to chiffonade. So I have my callaloo already steamed, but I'm going to be showing you how to chiffonade, all right? You're going to get your callaloo leaves and you're going to roll them, all right? Where do you want to roll them? Whichever side you want to roll them, you're going to roll them, roll up the leaves, and then you're going to start with your cutting, all right? So you cut them in thin strips. So when you're doing your callaloo at home, use chiffonade, all right? That's a French term. All right? So you cut them in thin strips, all right? Thin strips, you see? Cut them in thin strips. That's chiffonade, all right? Just to show you what chiffonade is for those who were not here when we did the session on vegetable cuts. Everybody understand? We are all there? All right, so we clean up as we go along, we clean. All right, so we have these and we are going to remove them. I'm going to rinse the board and I'm going to show you what to do with your chicken breast. Now, chicken breast cooks very quickly. You should not overcook your chicken breast. 5-6 minutes the most and your chicken breast is ready. A lot of persons will say, oh, I don't like chicken breast, it's too dry. But then your chicken breast, 5-6 minutes, and it is ready to be eaten. So do not overcook your chicken breast. So we have our scallion. Plate is looking pretty, isn't it? Very colorful. All right. I could flip the board or rinse the board. All right, so I'm just gonna do a quick rinse because I'll be doing the chicken breast. Now, one of the reasons why I did the vegetables first, I could have done the chicken breast, isn't it? So what would happen? Why did I do the vegetables first? Anybody? Anybody can tell me why I did the vegetables first and then I'm going to be doing the chicken breast? Anybody can tell me why? Okay. I know some persons would have. Now we're looking on cross-contamination because we are going to be preparing now protein. So we don't want to have the bacteria sitting on the board, and then even if I rinse the bacteria will remain. So we don't want to do the chicken first. So we do our vegetables. As I said, another way you could flip your board, do the other side. All right, you could flip your board to the other side, and then you could do your chicken breast. So remember, when you are preparing at home, you are doing protein, any protein at all, and you have to do vegetables. Strive to cut your vegetables first, and then you do your protein. Because if you do the protein first and you totally forget that, oh, I just rinse it with some water, you need to wash that with some soap and water, possibly a little bleach. That's our good sanitizer in the water to wash your board. So remember now that when you are dealing with the protein and vegetables, you do your vegetables first. All right? Bananas boiling away. So here we are going to be cutting our chicken breast in cubes also. And then we are going to be tossing that in a little bit of hot fat, cooking that for 5-6 minutes. And the fork or the spoon or your teeth should just go right through. It should just melt in your mouth. All right? So here goes. This one was seasoned. You should have deboned your chicken breast, remove the bones and remove the cartilage, because when we start cooking, we don't want to have the bones and the cartilage to deal with, because they will take a little longer time to prepare, to cook rather. All right, so just gonna cut it in strips. Cut them in. Now your chicken breasts have the tenderloin, which cooks very quickly. All right, this part that pulls off is the tenderloin. It cooks very, very quickly. So when we are cooking our chicken breast, we should know what part we are using, how we are using it. So you cut them in strips and you just cut them in some cubes. All right, because we're just going to be sauteing. I put them back in the bowl. So for this, a half of chicken breast is good enough for this, because it's just 6 fingers of green bananas. And a chicken breast can, 1 chicken breast, it will be enough for a dozen bananas or more, because some chicken breasts, depending on the size of your chicken breast. And a chicken breast doesn't need a whole lot of seasoning. You just season lightly, and if it will be nice and flavorful. Some herbs onto your chicken breast, and a little salt. All right, there we go. Last piece. So there we go. Now at this stage, I need to sanitize my board properly and my knife, because I've used protein. So I'm going to be washing this and get right back to you. So put the questions in the chat, and please remember that you have to submit your name. You can do that right now. Let me give you some time as I go wash. Please put your name, your email address, and your telephone number in the chat so we can acknowledge you, we can get your information so that we can send the certificate to you. All right, thank you so much. We'll be right back as soon as I sanitize my board. All right, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. So we are ready now to do our chicken breast. Our banana is already done. I've poured the water off and I have a little bit of oil in my frying pan and I'm going to be putting my chicken breast in. Remember I said chicken breast takes 5 to 6 minutes the most to cook. All right. So we just want to remember we have them in cubes, so we just break them up. And we don't want a very high flame because it will denature the entire chicken breast. So it becomes trashy and dry. So we allow that to sit. Now, on the other side, I have some water, which I'm going to be blanching my string beans and my carrots. Now, when you do blanch, the product becomes, the color is more vibrant, and blanching means that you're going to be putting it in some hot water, then you are going to take them from the hot water and put in some cold water to stop the cooking process and improve the color. All right, you see the color of my string bean? So it's going to be nice. So you're going to have a vibrant color at the end of blanching. So you're going to put it in the water for a minute and a half because we want to have some crunch to our salad. We don't want to overcook the vegetables. All right. I use my tongue to just turn some of these chicken breasts. You notice that the color start changing. I know you're around the stove, you're working, I can see you. Come on, work with me. Just allow your chicken breasts, flip them. We just want them to cook just right. All right. They are small pieces, so you take your time. And I'm sure at the end of it, you're going to enjoy this meal. And our toto is looking fabulous. I'm sure in a little while you'll get a zoom in on the product. All right. Now the water is boiling, so I'm going to be putting the carrots in. Put the carrots in the water. And then I'm pouring the string beans in. All right, just give it a small stir there. Put my lid on, and I'm gonna do that for a minute or a minute and a half. All right, so our chicken breast is almost done. All right. We don't want to overcook. Now, sometimes when you do cook, there is something called, some chef will say carryover cooking or residual heat. The same thing. When you turn off your flame from your product, the heat in the internal part of your product continues with the cooking. So the residual heat or the carryover heat continues the cooking of the product. So don't overcook. Remember that you will have that heat to continue cooking. All right, so as we wait for our chicken breast to finish and our vegetables to bland, now we will be doing the sauce next. All right, we are going to be doing the sauce using the roux method. Anybody know what's the roux? Anybody? You know what's the roux? Yes, I know. Yes, you know. Now the roux is melted fat, whether margarine, butter, with some flour. So you're going to melt your margarine. You're going to put the flour in the melted fat. Then I prefer using a whisk, But if you work fast enough, you don't have a whisk, you can use your spoon. So you're going to mix that, stir it. You don't want it to become brown because you're not making a brown sauce. You're doing a white one. All right. So that we will do. Now our chicken breast is done. All right. Now I'm going to be taking it, putting it in this bowl and allow the carryover cooking to continue, any cooking at all. All right. So here is a piece of your chicken breast. And if I put it on my bowl and I just lightly, you'd realize that I lightly put the tongue and it went right through. So your chicken breast does not take a long time to prepare. All right. Now we are going to be doing the roux. And since I'm going to be using the same, you're at home, I don't want you to use a lot of pots. So the same frying pan that I use for the chicken, I'm going to be doing the roux in that same saucepan, the frying pan that we have here. All right. So allow that to heat up. While I'm doing that, I'm going to be removing the vegetables, but I'm getting my ice water ready so that when I remove the vegetables, I'm going to put them right into the cold water, preferably ice water. So to my frying pan, I'm going to be adding for the roux, all right? I'm going to be adding a half a tablespoon of oil because it's the same amount of flour that I am going to be adding to the sauce. All right. I'll turn my flame off from the vegetables. Now I have my ice water. So I'm going to be draining my vegetable in a colander. Okay, here I have my ice water. It's ice water. So I am going to be putting my vegetables in the water, right? So there, you just put them for a minute and a half, and that will improve the color of your vegetables. All right? Now, if you want, you can put some ice in there. Put a little ice. So we allow this to sit until we are ready. Okay? Now we are going to be doing the roux. Are you all with me? Let me see where you are in your kitchen. I can see you. Okay, very good. Very good. And remember, you're going to feed the family? Good. I want to thank you all for sending your name, your contact number, your email. Continue to do so because at the end of the day, you will be getting a certificate of participation for persons who have taken the picture of their finished work at the end of this presentation. All right, there you go. I can see that you're all excited. I am excited too, and I know you are. Good. So to my frying pan, I add my 1 tablespoon of, half tablespoon of oil. Then I'm going to be adding my flour, the dry flour, right into. And I'm using my whisk. If you want, you can remove it, take it away from the stove. If you realize it's becoming a little stiff on you or too thick, you remove it. All right. And then we are going to be adding our milk. a little at a time. Then we put it back on the stove over the flame. Keep on stirring because it's going to become thicker. So if you have a spoon, I said, you have to work fast because if you notice, it becomes thicker as we keep on pouring the liquid in. We want to cook the starch particles from the flour. We don't want you to get raw flour, uncooked flour. So you keep on stirring. All right, medium heat. Oh, wow. I'm going to allow the cameraman to come and show you what is happening over here. Looking gorgeous, but in a little while you will see. So come on, I know many of you are excited with your product at home. I know you're looking in your pot and say, wow, if you have a pot with a cover that you can see, because I can see through my cover. I don't know if you can see through your cover, but I can see through mine. Add a little more. We're going to allow this to cook, and we're going to put our onions, our scallions in, and we're going to season this. Let it be nice and flavorful before we put it into our banana salad. Now, my bowl is here, and I'm going to be putting the bananas. The bananas were done. Right? See the color, they are not brown as if you'd leave them out. Allow that to sit because it's going to be a warm dressing. Hence we use the coconut cream. At this point, I'm going to be adding my seasoning. I have half a teaspoon of Maggi chicken seasoning. Whisk that in. Nice and coming to that consistency that I want. Then I have my thyme. I'll add my teaspoon of thyme leaves. At this point, you'll lower your flame. Then I'm going to be adding the other vegetables. Add my onions and my scallion. I leave the peppers for last because I want them to have that vibrant color. And you still want to have that crunch. All right, we allow that to simmer. All right. Now remember, you should also have your skewer to test your product. Now you can have a bamboo skewer, or you can have a metal skewer, a toothpick, depending on how thick of a product you have. So you have your skewer. When you put your skewer in the middle of your product, it should come out clean. And again, if you look at your product, the side of your product, if it pulls away from the side, that means it's finished. Another way of testing, if you touch your product and it springs back, then your product is finished. So there are 3 ways you can test for doneness. 1, put your skewer in, and if it comes out clean, it is finished. Second one, you touch, do a finger touch, it springs back, it is finished. Or if it pulls away from the side of the pan, your baking tin, it is finished. So there are 3 ways in which you test for doneness of your baked product when you're baking a cake and so on. All right, good. So we have all that is here ready for the next step. and or I'll get the water from the vegetables while this is simmering a little. And I'll put let me put the sweet peppers in at this point because I want them to be vibrant. So you're gonna have maybe another half a minute. And then we're ready because we don't want to overcook our vegetables. All right, nice and pretty. All right, let me get the water from this. All right, so you drain. And there is our vibrant color. Look at the color. Isn't it pretty? Nice and vibrant. So you don't have to go to the supermarket and buy your mixed vegetable. You can make it. Come on. Eat what you grow, grow what you eat. Plant your string bean in the back garden, pick your string bean, and then you prepare your own mixed vegetables. All right? Good. All right, so when we are going to turn this flame from our sauce. It's done. And we are going to give you a 5 minutes break. Get your serving dishes. I'm going to wait on you, so I'm going to take a 5 minutes break and wait until you go get your serving dishes because we are almost ready to plate. All right? See you back in 5 minutes. Sweet jump. I mean, what the world massive love it and respect it to man. Hear this? A lot of mercy. Help me big up Jamaica, the land of wood and water. The system might not proper, but we love the vibe, the food and the culture. Whoa, can't you see the beauty of this country? Me never know a serious thing until me reach a foreign. So what a nice place to live. Sweet jam, now the only problem is dollar star run. So what a nice place to live. Sweet jam, now the only problem is dollar star run. Now with the money in your pocket and a God in your heart. Crowd of people, what more you want? Reggae music, I play a reggae artist a chant. And you saw me born, I'm in a transplant. What a nice place to live. Sweet jam, now the only problem is dollar star run. So what a nice place to live. Sweet jam, now the only problem is dollar star run. A man will live on a banana boat and him a gone overboard. Because him say everywhere better than he have. But when him touch certain countries, see this system a fraud, him have to run back a jam down and give it its reward. What a nice place to live. Sweet jam, now the only problem is dollars now run. So what a sweet place to live. Sweet jam, now the only problem is dollars now run. Yes, I'm a man, yes, I'm a come from. Yes, I'm a liver, yeah, me intend to turn. Regardless of the economical condition, you must admit this is a glorious land. So what a nice place to live. Sweet jam, down the only problem is dollars now run. So what a nice place to live. Sweet jam, down the only problem is dollars now run. So help me pick up Jamaica, the land of food and water. The system might not proper. We love the food, the vibes and the culture. Whoa, can't you see the beauty of this country? Me never know say that it's a serious thing until me reach in a foreign. Oh, what a nice place to live. Sweet jam, now the only problem is dollars now run. Beauty of this country. Me never know say that it's a serious thing.
Now I'm easy. No. Big up man like Josie Wales. Shaggy. Wow. Me and my brethren, them a sit down on the corner. Like up the fire and a wild green banana. Can we have to go in glue out the hell shop? Make a little stop by me girlfriend Lana. Long time me no see her, a long time me wanna. Play us up the music now the side that I be my no. I feel like jamming to the reggae beat. Bubble up your body. If you love Jamaica, let me see your hand. Lord of mercy. Sweet Jamaica. It comes on and together. Sweet Jamaica. Oh yeah. I like the sweet, sweet Jamaica. Sweet Jamaica. Da 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 oh. Sweet Jamaica. Da 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 oh. Sweet Jamaica. Sweet, sweet Jamaica, we not left ya. Love me a key and my saltfish, we not left ya. Top ya man banana, we not left ya. I'm a big flour dumpling, we not left ya. Ain't nothing like the sweet cool breeze a jammed up. String up the sun while it vibes can't done. Reggae music beautiful and people just a have fun. Jerk on a place a work a fish a steam done. Me proud of me island. Lord of God, me say me proud of me island. Come is a Vegas, we proud of me island. Outlaw knows the will, me say me proud of me island. Sweet Jamaica. If you love Jamaica, let me see your hand. Raise it to the sky and let me see your hand. If you love Jamaica, let me see your hand. Right. Lord of mercy. Sweet Jamaica. They do. Sweet Jamaica. Oh yeah. Sweet Jamaica. Da 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 oh. Sweet Jamaica. My oh. Sweet Jamaica. Nothing like the sweet, sweet Jamaica. Sweet Jamaica, yeah. Sweet Jamaica. Oh. Sweet Jamaica. My. Sweet Jamaica. Me proud of me island. That one you see. Me proud of me island. Intro. I see Mikey B. Rockin' and skanking to the reggae beat. It's like Jamaica. Sweet Jamaica.
Hey, watch out now. So. Hey, follow me now. Hey, who you know? I'm gonna say. Well, I say give thanks to the obstacles in our way because the journey's stage if we jump and you wanna. If everything did smooth every day, we wouldn't know we could overcome cause it don't kill me. I know it's gonna build me. Oh yes, gonna make me stronger. So if you don't try nothing, then you never will fail. But you surely won't get anything done. So hear me now, just do your thing and learn from your mistakes. Experience teaches wisdom and you see it don't kill me. I know it's gonna build me. Oh yes, gonna make me stronger. Hey, watch out now. Hey, see ya now. You see the yard up and the struggle and the hustle. Hit me backbone and we brain cell and we muscle. So we fighting with the rain and not enough. So we not go build and depression and go buckle. Get to understand so disappointment and no look out when one door like about $1 million a woman. But if I try to work from, that means we are going to do. We only want we won't no want no trouble. But anyway, if thanks to that because in our way because the hurdles teach you to jump. I'm on a set. If everything did smooth every day, we wouldn't know we could overcome because we don't kill me. I know it's gonna build me. Oh yes, and make me stronger. I'm on a set. Hey, what I know? Then we say darkness make we appreciate life, and the certainties that make we appreciate life. It's time to take the stage and overcome the stage right, boy. Just spread your wings and take flight. Cause if we don't kill way, I surely know it's gonna be a way. Oh yes, gonna make me stronger. Hey, watch out. I simple thing. Look how much time a baby drop when them a learn to walk. But if I chip a wish a chat when you a learn to talk. Lot of people love to watch and love to pass remarks. And if I them in the test then put the pass the mark. Don't forget when you back come from up no stuck in the past. Heart and up moving fit and money for river to cross. Them a ball say time hard but we don't grow so soft. So let's see that the average drop we just get up and just soft and say pass the mark. Don't forget when you back come from up no stuck in the now we wait, got the yearn on street if we jump. Hear me now, if everything did smooth every day, we wouldn't know we could overcome cause we don't kill me. I know it's gonna be the way, oh yes, and gonna make me stronger. Oh yeah, I'm a lesson. If you don't try, don't know then you never will fail. But you surely won't get anything done. So hear me now, just do your thing and learn from your mistakes. Experience teaches wisdom and you see it without you now. I know it's gonna be way. Oh yeah, gonna make me stronger. Hard son. Hey, follow me now, see you now. Hey, upset her. See how upset her. On and on and on and on. I'm a winner. You know that I'm a winner. Hey, watch out now. I'm on the sun. Oh, we're winning right now, you will. I say we're winning right now. Me forget that trophy to what me living right now. Cause I'm winning right now, yeah. And I'm chilling right now. Oh, we're winning right now.
All right, welcome back. We are back on track. So I'm sure that you would have had your bananas in your bowl, you have your mixed vegetables ready, your chicken breast is ready, the warm dressing that I did is ready, and we are now going to be incorporating all. All right, are you ready for that assignment? Okay, let's go. Now, here in my bowl is the green banana. You see the color, all right? Now I'm going to be adding the mixed vegetables that we made. Yes, we did. Can you make yours, right? We add our mixed vegetables. Then we add our chicken breast. Tell me, is a chicken breast tender? Must be. Tender chicken breast. So let's just give a stir. Just to incorporate, to ensure that when you do get a bite, you get chicken, you get banana. Now I should let you know that you could also include some cubes of cheese in this dish. So for calcium, you know, for bones and teeth, strong bones and strong teeth, you need some calcium. So you could also include some cubes of cheese in this dish. So here we have our warm dressing. We're going to be pouring everything into the bowl. Isn't it colorful? Nice and colorful. There we go. And we are going to be stirring. All right, just to coat the banana, the chicken breast, the vegetables, all of this. Remember that your vegetables should not be too soft because you want some bite to your product. All right. Now I did ask you to get your serving dish. So before we get to the serving dish, I'm going to be doing another part of the garnish. I'd ask you to get a tomato. So I'm going to be wedging my tomato. And I'm going to be just taking off the bottom. When you wedge, you cut in half, and depending on how big you can cut, I'm going to go for 3, that's one wedge, and turn my knife the other side, and another wedge, right? So I cut the side, and then you turn your knife at this angle, 45 degrees, and then you get another wedge, right? So I am going to be infusing some thyme in my oil. So I'm going to be doing a thyme oil. Infuse that with your tomato. So I'm putting just a little bit of oil in my frying pan. Allow that to heat up. Then I'm going to be putting some thyme leaves in the oil. All right. around a half a teaspoon, just to give some dimension to your tomato. As I'm just going to be tossing in a thyme oil to use as a part of the garnish for the dish. So you don't have to think that you have to go and do something, out of the ordinary. Whatever little you have, you can use it. Put this to medium heat. All right. So you allow the oil to heat. Smell that. You smell the aroma. I know you smell it in your kitchen. So you're infusing the thyme into the oil. So you have some thyme oil. So you can do a chicken breast, and you can get your thyme oil and just drizzle over to give that dimension. Now I'm going to be putting the tomatoes in the pot, and just use the spoon just to spoon over, because we don't want to give a lot long cooking. Just a spoon over. Just spoon the oil over. At this point, you can turn your flame off, because we want to improve the tomato and to allow the oil, the infused oil, to get in all the sections of the tomato. You're not cooking this one. You're using it for garnish. All right? That we're ready with that one. All right? So here we go. We are going to be plating. We are going to be plating our first dish. And I should tell you, some of you, your grandmother have some utensils that they are not using. Take them and use. Anybody know this? You see this? I'm sure that this tongue is in for quite some time. So I don't see these anymore. So I'm going to use this to do my plating. All right? So first you look on your plating and say, okay, I have my callaloo, and then I have some tomatoes. So I'm going to be taking some of the salad. You're going to pile it onto your plate. All right. Remember that you clean as you go along. You wipe your rim of your plate so that it will not be all messy. So we're going to be putting that. We strive to get it in the rim, so within the rim, so we don't have anything over, right? Where I put down my vegetables, my other vegetables, I'm just gonna clean right here. That's where I'm going to be placing my vegetable. Right. So I have my callaloo that was steamed. So I'm placing some of my callaloo to this side. Are you with me? You're plating also? Come on, let me hear from you. Are you plating? You see, the rim of my plate is clean. All right, you see the contrasting colors. Now I'm going to get a piece of my tomato from my infused oil. Well, I'll use 2 pieces. So I use the infused oil. Clean up your plate. All right, because your guests want to see a clean rim. All right? So there we go. We have our first plate that was done. So that's your green banana salad with a warm dressing, and we use some steamed callaloo, and we use infused oil on our tomato. So we present that as a finished complete meal, because you have your vegetables, you have your protein, you have your carbohydrate. All right, your staples are there. So the banana for the staple, you have your chicken breast for the protein, you have your carrots, string beans, callaloo, and tomatoes for your vegetables. So there you go. It's a balanced meal. So we are going to complete the 2-course meal in a little while. But let me tell you, because we have finishing the 2-course, and then we are going to be showing you how we present on the table. We are having also a table setting. It will not be demonstrated, but you will see a setting, a place setting. All right? So remember now that persons who do not have oven at home, you can do your product on the stove on top. Now your oven will use a lot of gas, but when you do it on top of the stove, it will not use that amount of gas. All right? And persons who don't have stove and have the coal pot or the wood fire, you can do the same. What you have to do, light your coal, ensure that you have steady coal burning, and then you can put some coal on top of the pot. Once the cover can hold the heat, then you would do the same like we have done on top of the stove. And I'm smelling yours because I'm smelling mine. It is almost, ooh, ooh, ooh. I'm doing wow. I did a finger touch and it springs back. Can you tell me what is happening? I smell it. It's almost done. All right. So we are going to be plating the dessert. But before we do that, we will be sending you an evaluation sheet. I want you to complete that evaluation sheet. And within 5 minutes, you're going to come and I'm going to show you the finished product. I'm going to show you the testing, how we test, and to see where our total on the stove is. So go right ahead now, fill out that evaluation sheet, and in 5 minutes, we will be back to plate the dessert. See you in 5 minutes.
Hey, follow me now, I see you now. Hey, upset her. See how upset her? Go outside, man. On and on and on and on. I'm a winner. You know the time. I'm a winner. Hey, watch out now. I'm on the sun. Oh, we're winning right now, you live. Say we're winning right now. Me forget a trophy to what me living right now. Cause I'm winning right now, yeah. And I'm chilling right now. Oh, we're winning right now. On Thanksgiving right now. Cause we're winning right now, yeah. I'm winning. I'm winning. I'm winning. Hey, watch out now. Hey, I'm a walking W. Learn from the else. Turn them in a medal in a trophy and bells. Every day you see me with them on our next film. Break records like we cracking eggshells. And every single ounce of effort we expel. It's all about progress, cause we have to excel. And watch out. Looking like success, we dress well. Boom. Another knockout for the ring the next bell. I'm about to send my haters a card to get well, cause I'm sick of it. I'm so sick of it, but that's the whole gist of it. I yet in the beauty when within, you 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 when within.
Oh cherry, oh cherry, oh. come right in. And now that we are together, please make all my joys come over. Oh, 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 cherry, oh, baby. Can't you see I'm in love with you? If you don't believe I do, then why don't you try me? I will never let you down. I will never make you wear no frown. If you say that you love me madly, oh, babe, I will accept you gladly. Oh, 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 oh.
All right, welcome, welcome, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, welcome back. We are here and we are ready. Now, I told you that I will show you how the product, the total, is done. If you look here, you see it's pulling away from the side. That's done. I'm gonna insert the skewer. So here, I put it in the middle, clean, it's done. I touch, spring back, it's done. So what I did while I sent you on a little break, I used some simple syrup to brush over the top to give it that sheen. So it's a simple syrup that gives that sheen. So my flame is off, so this is done. And I know yours, I can see yours and I can smell it, it's done. All right, good. Now, before we cut our total, we are going to be looking on the plate that we are going to be presenting it on. So we are going to be decorating the plate. So we garnish the savory. Now we are going to be decorating the sweet. All right. So, all right. So I take my product from the flame and I'm going to be just using my knife to ease it a little from the side because I want to take it out so it gets a little bit of coolness, so it cools a little bit. Right. So I'm going to be removing it. right? There we go. We remove it, and I'm going to be flipping because I want it. There we go. That's our big product. All right, so I always think of color when you are doing your product. Now this here is a mango, so I'm going to be decorating with some mangoes. Now I peeled a mango and I am going to be cutting to fan to put on the plate to enhance the product that you will have. So there I cut it, and I'm going to be cutting some strips. I go down, that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, got another one, 4. You notice I didn't go all the way up. I leave in some space. There I cut, there. So I'm going to be taking this, place it on my serving plate. All I'm doing is just use my finger to just touch, and it's going to give a little fan effect. See that? Just a little fan effect. Now remember, you know, you are at home. You want your product to look pretty. You want it to look pretty. All right? All right. Now I'm going to be enhancing with some sauce. I need some red. But I must tell you that you can send the picture as we finish one. We are going to finish the other. My email address, it is jane.jerry@jcdc.gov.jm. Or you can send it to Chantal, is SHANTAL@jcdc.gov.jm. Please send the pictures because we want to start preparing your certificate as soon as we finish this demonstration. So here we have our mango slice ready. And now you have garden cherries. You have the garden cherry. We have local strawberries that we use. But whatever it is that you have that you can use to enhance your dish. So here I'm going to be placing some of, this is red, I'm going to put some in my spoon, right? Because if you don't have the spoon, another way that you can enhance your plate as chef did, you can do the dots. Let me get a plate. Chef Brown had showed you some of what you can do. You can start with a large one, then you gradiate and you go down, you go around, getting them smaller and smaller. All right. Or you can use one with a spoon. All right. So you can sweep the spoon in, or you can use the brush to do that technique. So you're going to be using whatever you have at home. Maybe you have some syrup. You can use that. So you can put some of this on the plate, and then you can use a spoon to just, that's another technique that you can use. All right? So those techniques that you can use. So I'm going to be cutting my toto. So I have here a serrated edge knife, or a bread knife, some persons may call it. And the reason for me to use it because the toto is still warm and I want to get a clean cut. So I'm going to be using the serrated edge knife. All right. So let me get this up on the board. So I'm going to be cutting out a slice. You know, I want a slice of yours. Am I going to get it? Please send it over. I need to taste. All right. So we'll allow our product to cool somewhat, but because time is against us and we want to ensure you give it a sort of sawing motion so we get a nice cut. Look at our product. So we are going to be plating this. So I'll position. That's my total. Are you with me? You have yours on your plate. Ready for the next step? All right. And then I'm going to be placing my spoon. All right. There we have it. That's the finished product. So sitting at home for this weekend, you're going to be home for the entire weekend, lockdown weekend. Prepare yourself something that is very delicious. Let your family be a part of the whole presentation. So I told you earlier that we are preparing this meal. It's a 2-course meal. You have your entree with everything. You have your protein, your carbohydrates, your vegetables. Then you have your dessert. Dessert, it's traditional toto, some mango slices, and I have some cherry juice that I, juice those cherries and you thicken the cherries so you can put it in your spoon. And then I showed you some other techniques that you can use to enhance the dish. So when you have prepared your meal, you're ready to eat. All right? So I'm going to be showing you the table setting and to let you know that you don't have to buy an expensive bottle of red wine. You can make something that looks like a red wine. Nobody will know, because what you will see in the decanter that I put the Java plum, I use some Java plum. And I'm sure you're saying, what is Java plum? Java plum is what we call, is it blackberry? Mulberry? No, mulberry is not it. But you call it Ribena, all right? So the Java plum is a Ribena that we all know it to be. So I did some of that and I put it in a decanter. Now, how many persons know what a decanter is? Now, if you go back to your grandmother into the cabinet or the brake front or the wagon, anybody know the wagon? I know the wagon. Now, they used to have decanter. And the reason for them to have the decanter, because wines were not in bottles like it is now. So they would have the wines in bigger containers, and then they would pour it into the decanter and then serve it from the decanter to their guest. So I will show you just a simple table setting. It is a 3-course meal that you will see the setting for. We have on the charger, you will see that dinner plate, and there is a soup bowl, and we have our soup spoon. To the right, you will see that setting, the knife and the spoon, the soup spoon. You see the entree knife and you see the entree fork to the left, and you see that side plate. You realize there's a bread basket where you put your nice rolls in. Then we have our decanter with what looks like some lovely wine, which I told you is from the Java plum, the same one that we call Ribena. Then we have our juice glass. We have our water goblet. And we have our red wine glass, which we put a fancy napkin fold. That's a fan napkin fold. So there you have it. So for this weekend, you can take your wares out. You can treat yourself, treat your family. Because guess what? You want to feel that you have that experience of going to a restaurant. So set your table this weekend and enjoy your meal. So remember now, I'm looking forward for the pictures of the dishes that was prepared by you today. I should see them before the end of the day. And if there are any questions, I take the questions just now. But I know I can smell in your kitchen. Oh my, it smells good. And I'm sure it will taste good. Come on, Miss Gordon, don't peek, don't take a piece before we are finished. I can see you. Come on, put it on. Take the picture before you take a peek of your product, Miss Gordon. I can see you in the kitchen. Don't laugh at me, but I know you're doing that. Just take the picture, send it across. Send it to my email or Miss Hilton's email, and then we will start working on your certificate of participation. I want to thank you. I want to thank you for being here with us today. And I'm sure that you would have enjoyed preparing the meal. Your children should be involved in whatever it is that you prepare. So don't let the weekend pass you by before calling your child or your children or those around you to come. Let us see what we have inside the cabinet, and let us see what we have so we can make a dish that will suit everybody. All right. So for those of you I've been watching in the chat, some persons have done it, some persons have not. Please complete the evaluation form so we can see what you think of this presentation. And I'm just waiting to see those products. I know some persons are going to be saying, oh my, I'm not going to be using the oven to bake Toto again, because this one is so good. So again, look at the setting. Practice to do some of this at home. You may not have the wares that we have. You may not have all the cutlery, but whatever it is that you have at home, do practice to do your table setting and enjoy your meal in whatever it is that you have to use at home. All right? Are there any questions? Any questions from you all? Thank you. You say good job. I see that one. Okay, thank you so much. Wonderful. I want you to practice. And let me remind you that you need to go to the JCDC's website. You need to get your ID number. Then you will fill out your entry form so we can know that we have persons entering this year. And remember that this year is not one of the ordinary years. This is an extraordinary year. COVID came and COVID said, listen to me, I am going to slow you down a little, but you're going to sit down and you're going to be working on your recipes. You're going to be sending them to me. Look at the categories that we have, the 5 categories. We have batters and doughs, wedding and celebration cakes. We have traditional products, knife skills techniques, and recipe writing. So come on, work on your products. And remember, when it comes to the traditional products, if you're going to be frying a fish, for example, you're going to come to the competition, that is, you're going to be in your safe space at home. You're going to get your fish. The fish will already have been cleaned. So you're going to come with your fish. So with your paper towel, the judges will watch you pat the fish dry. Then the judges will watch you season the fish. Then the knife skills technique will come in place where you're going to be cutting your vegetables for your vinaigrette. So all those, we must see you do all of that. And then you're going to be frying the fish, because remember, I don't want to see scrambled fish. So you're going to put your oil to heat, and it must not be too hot because you're going to burn the outside and the inside is not cooked. So you're going to heat your frying pan with your oil, and when it's right, when it's ready, you're going to lower your fish, because guess what? If you drop the fish in and it's burning, you know you're going to lose marks. So we are going to mark you for sanitation, how you keep your area, the things you do. You remember, I clean as I go along. And when I do if you do fish, we should see that you're going to sanitize your board. All right, so all these things we are going to be looking for. And at the end of it, you are going to present your fish on a platter for us to see. So I'm looking forward to see all those entries coming in. So let me see a lot coming in by the end of the day or tomorrow. Remember, we close the last day of May. Entries close on the 31st of May. So come on, put on your thinking cap and get going, because guess what? Jamaicans know how to be creative. And you are going to be creative in preparing and presenting these items for our Culinary Arts Competition 2021. So once again, thank you for being a part of this demonstration. And I'm sure that you are going to continue to work and to do your best at what it is that you can do in your kitchen. God bless you, and looking forward for those pictures at the end of the day. Thanks again for being a part of the JCDC's Culinary Arts Demonstration Day. God bless you. God bless you.